Dear colleagues, partners, and might be in the future friends, let me share with you some issues unveiling the secrecy of personalized and precision medicine as a unique healthcare model to be set up to secure the human healthcare and biosafety through the view of public health. Over the course of its history, medicine and healthcare philosophy have given special attention to the already diseased individual, focusing on a type of clinically manifested disease, so-called nosology, rather than on one's health or the so-called pre-illness conditions, whilst the latter being left in the shade. No comments, but the resources of canonical medicine today have been missed and exhausted. That's the fact. And thus the clinical efficacy, chronification and disability rates and the human longevity must be drastically improved soon. Look, whilst analyzing and pre-selecting basic determinants of health to be valuable for the implementation and securing the efficacy of personalized precision medicine (PPM) model in the daily clinical practice, a group of the recognized experts in the PPM-related area has presented an evidence-based and well-documented assessment of global trends in medicine and healthcare development and stressed the exclusive value of the next step model of healthcare services being known as personalized and precision medicine, briefly PPM.
Dr. Sergey, the slides are not moving. The slides are not moving.
Oh. No presentation.
The slides are not moving.
One moment.
Yeah.
Now it's okay?
Yeah, this is better.
Okay. PPM as a model of healthcare services of the next step generation is the science and art, illustrating application of sets of the different tools of the model at the population, communities, and individuals. Look, population, communities, and individuals. And exerting reliable control over morbidity, mortality, and disabling rates, as well as significantly optimizing the cost and efficacy of treatment for those who had already fallen ill, so-called patients, and or for persons at risk is. This strategy would give a genuine opportunity to secure preventive, prophylactic, therapeutic, and rehabilitative measures whose personalization could have a significantly personal influence on demographic. To implement PPM resources into clinical practice, there is a strong need to develop a principally new strategy based on biomarkers. NIH, whilst being a strategic center for medical research and practice, NIH has included PPM into a list of the 5 greatest priorities of development of medicine healthcare services in the century, and have prompted setting up in USA centers of personalized and precision medicine. Look through at some of the latter. One of the best, Perelman Center for Personalized Medicine in Philadelphia. PPM is a goal of healthcare in which diagnostic and treatment decisions are informed by each person's unique clinical, basics, so-called omics related, omics, exposome microenvironment. So genomics is considered to be a set of the major unique biomarkers and thus the molecular tools to probe genome for the quality and now even be tested for predictive and prognostic biomarkers. Look at that. It's the scope of the letter. Diagnostic testing, just a kind of the regular daily testing used to identify or rule out a specific genetic or chromosomal conditions. The results of a diagnostic test can influence persons' choices about healthcare and the management of the disorder. Predictive and pre-symptomatic testing. Those tests can be helpful to people who haven't a family member with the genetic disorders, but who have no feature of the disorder themselves at the time of testing. And moreover, predictive testing can identify mutations that increase a person's risk of developing disorders with a genetic basis, such as certain types of cancer. It's just an example of predictive DNA testing with some DNA biomarkers. Carrier testing, used to identify people who carry one copy of gene mutation that when present in 2 copies causes a genetic disorder. This type of testing is offered to individuals who have a hidden latent viral gene pre-integrate into the human genome, or to people in certain ethnic groups with an increased risk of specific genetic conditions. Newborn testing, very well known for you. Prenatal testing to detect changes in the fetus genes or chromosomes before birth to secure the national biosafety. Pharmacogenetic tests can be used to predict and to target medicines to good responders or to identify whether an individual has an increased risk of a specific adverse drug reaction from a particular medicine. Look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4 alternatives. Down, right. The alternatives is the best. So, pharmacogenomics related testing is aimed at tailoring drug therapy at a dosage that's most appropriate for an individual patient with the potential benefits of increasing the clinical efficacy and the individualized safety. The landscape of genetic testing has changed considerably with the emergence of direct-to-consumer DTC genetic testing. Look, like glucometric in diabetics, but DTC package set used for that. To secure genetic risk prediction tools with a wider array of common diseases and thus the national health stability. Having access to genomic information will become increasingly important as physicians are progressively receptive to incorporating genomics into clinical practice. But a combination of genomic and phenomic biomarkers are becoming of great significance to be applied in PPM and need to be translated into the daily clinical practice to predict risks of the chronification and thus of disabling. Phenome is a bridge from genome, proteome, metabolome, which are 2 important elements of phenome. Look, from phenome to genome is the whole course. So a combination of genomic and proteomic and metabolomic biomarkers are becoming of great significance to be applied in PPM and to be translated into the clinical practice to predict risks of the granification and thus of disabling. Who will patients or Persons at risk and their physicians trust to store and interpret the clinical data collected, harvested, and mined. Healthcare IT does offer a potential solution to those barriers. Look at the scope of technologies in the area of IT as applicable to healthcare. As a result, a patient or a person at risk becomes a data carrier. Look, the average patient, about 665 terabytes, the hugest source of information. It's becoming clear now that further development of molecular technologies, risk prediction algorithms, and clinical decision support is needed. Look at the modern therapeutic modes along with diagnostic technologies and approaches as applicable to PPM to be screened on. Cellular therapies, the most oldest. Incoming genomic editing, and an example of genomic editing and genome therapy as applicable to incurable leukemia in 2014, being done by Harvard Medical School, Johns Hopkins Universities, and the University of Cambridge in UK. Now it's the baby is 5 years old, still alive. Some comments. Individuals to be under regular monitoring that helps to detect pathological shifts at subclinical stages, have a higher life expectancy, and are able-bodied up to 8-15 years more than those under traditional canonical treatment. This means that the society would save more than 20, 30, 40,000 US dollars per person annually. And the community level, the annual savings from each individual may vary from several thousands to several tens of thousands in US dollars. In the area of oncology, for instance, the latter means that as little as 10% reduction in cancer would translate into a savings of 4 billion US dollars to society. In this sense, due to our and our partners' viewpoint, all healthcare professionals of the future should be educated to deliver patient-centric care as members of interdisciplinary teams, emphasizing evidence-based practice, quality improvement approaches, and bioinformatics tools. It's just the illustration of patient-centric care. So the current model, physician-patient, would have to be gradually displaced by a medical advisor, healthy persons at risk model. But who is expected to be responsible for getting PPM model armed? Its translation applications and biodesign to be focused on bench to bedside and back research. Look at that illustrating the latter. This approach mentioned should be based on postulates which will change the incarnate culture and social mentality. And thus the above mentioned PPM model and tools of translational applications applied would need for novel training, since the society is the need of large-scale dissemination of novel systemic thinking and minding. And upon construction of the new educational platforms, I mean curricular, in the rational proportions, there would be not a primitive physician created, but a medical and biopharma artist to be able to enrich flow-through medical standards with creative elements to give for a patient a genuine hope to survive. but in turn for a person at risk, a trust for being no disease. The healthcare industry, public policy sector, and consumer industries will be required to develop new and creative business models and products. And no doubt, next generation will speak about the century as a time when medicine became preventive and personalized, and its outcomes predicted and guaranteed. So thank you so much for your patience. We'll be happy to present the next step speech in a year again.